Okay. Well, welcome to Ryan Spelts podcast. This is actually season 2. And the only reason I'm calling it that is because I took a little break. But season 2, we got really busy this summer, and so we're back. And this one's going to be exciting because this is an expert interview. I have Matt Williams with me, and he's one of our partners. And we'll talk and dive in and get to know him. But Ryan Spelts, Connection Media, is our new company name. Connection Publishing is going to go away or be a kind of a second business name, but anyway, we're excited because we're doing so much more than publishing nowadays. So
doing a ton.
But yeah, so tell us, introduce yourself a little bit, where you're from and family and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Matt Williams, and I'm from North Ogden, Utah. Well, I live here now. I was born in California, moved here when I was really little to Utah County, and spent most of my life down there. I married a North Ogden girl. And she drugged me up here. During the pandemic, we were going nuts. My parents had relocated up here after my dad retired. He worked at the IRS for a long time. And so we weren't around family or anything. And a lot of our friends had kind of moved out and stuff at that point. So we're like, oh, let's build a house up in North Ogden. So we came up here and brought our 1-year-old at the time. And then we have another one that came after him. So. Cool. Got 2 kids. What do I like to do for fun? Recently I've been training for triathlons.
Nice.
So that's been pretty fun doing that. I did a lot of like track and field events in college and high school and stuff, and so I just had to get back into competing. And
I was going to ask you how you stayed trim. Now I know.
Yeah, swimming and biking and doing some running and stuff. So.
What events did you do in high school?
I did pole vault and hurdles.
Cool.
And then in college I did pole vault and decathlon.
Very cool.
At Utah Valley University. So then I came up here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, good. So Matt is, from a professional standpoint, you are our third-party provider. So in the marketing world, you can try to build out a tech team yourself if you have an agency like I do, or you can find a partner that does wholesale, and so they work for us on the back end, but he is our partner for a lot of our digital services that we do. And when you own a marketing company like I do, I've been approached by probably 30 people that do similar things to you to what you do, and I always told them no. I was like, no. I didn't want to mess up what we were building with Connection Publishing, and then B, I had a hard time trusting them, and I just felt like they would say a lot of stuff but not really back it up, and I honestly wasn't that much different with you. I was like, seemed like a nice guy, but it just. Maybe it's because of my, I don't know. I didn't always think, okay, this will work good as a partnership. So anyway, the difference is with you, we just stayed in touch for a while. And as we were kind of making this transition, in 2022, our prices for paper went up, for printing is up 68%. It's crazy.
Yeah. And
no signs of improvement. In fact, postage just went up again.
Wow.
I'm now paying, several $100s more a month in just postage, after many other increases too. So, so that's all been crazy. And I've said, yeah, we're going to get put out of business by all these price increases if we don't change and start offering new products and new services. And because I've studied marketing my whole life, I was like, well, if I do this, I want to do it right. And I started really researching and going into what the best sources are for marketing, and Matt's been awesome because he's helped me along the way and helped me learn some things, but then he's also matched more the temperament of what we wanted for our clients, because in a lot of circles when you talk through these things, everybody talks about, well, this is the most profitable, this is what you should sell because it makes the most money.
Yeah.
I've never ever operated that way, and so I've loved that you're not that way either. We try to find what's going to be best for that client, and so that's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about how you got started, how you I know you were working for a company and then they closed down, and so maybe give us that background.
Sure. So I started doing digital marketing back in 2016 or 2017. Sort of as a side hustle. I'd always been really interested in advertising and online marketing and stuff. And my brother-in-law at the time had a pest control company that he was doing door-to-door sales with, and I was like, hey, I can do Google Ads for you. And I had no idea what I was doing. And he was like, cool, that sounds good, let's do it. I was like, great. So I just YouTubed how to set up an ads account and just got started that way. and had some pretty good success with that. And we just would run ads during the summer when he was selling door to door. And every summer we did that for like 3 or 4 years, and then had the opportunity to jump on with a digital marketing agency based down in Utah County, and did that for a couple years, and really just like honed in my skills and learned a lot more things on top of Google Ads. So started doing paid social media, content creation, all sorts of different things, and helped a lot of e-commerce companies. We did a lot of lead generation for service companies. We worked with a company called Zero Res and stuff. So we did lead gen for home services and whatnot, and it was super fun. But then, that company, the CEO got a bunch of funding for a e-commerce store that he was running, and those investors wanted to see him more fully engaged in the e-commerce store, so he just shut down the agency and was like, okay, we'll see you later. I was like, all right, sounds good. So had the opportunity to start my own agency at that point, and kind of just went full bore on that and didn't look back, and here we are. So so been doing that, and I guess through my I actually appreciate what you said about how I take an approach where I do what's best for the customer, and that's sort of what I learned at that agency and working with a bunch of different business owners, is you don't necessarily want to do the thing that's most profitable if it doesn't fit in with the brand image or the messaging or whatnot. So we definitely do what business owners are most comfortable with, but I always will give advice and say, hey, I think Google Ads is the best way to get leads for your type of business, but if they just really want to push on Facebook ads, we can do those too, and we can usually get a pretty good return for them either way. But
and we've talked about this before as well, but you need multiple layers in a marketing campaign as it matures. But if you're going to start somewhere, there is an answer to that, and through research, I always call you. I'm like, Matt, what about this one? And we're going to do this and this, and then you're like, okay, well, this is what I'd recommend. And the nice thing is with data, however you say it, it gives you those answers.
It does.
It tells us, okay, I'll give you an example. We talking to Kent's Safes and Smokehouse. It's a sports store here in town. They sell gun safes and smokers, and we looked it up. And there's just not enough search volume to make paying for search volume worth it for him. And so we're going to take a different approach with him. And so, that's a really valuable thing. And I think he appreciated it when we went and visited with him. And I was like, look, there's not enough search volume. I don't want to sign you up for this. Yes, we could capture the ones that are coming, but it's not enough to make this justifiable. Yeah. And I really like that approach as well. So, go through the types of industries that you've kind of worked with. We're obviously very local, but I know you've, and especially with working with agencies all over, you probably got a huge variety of. Yeah,
we've worked with a lot of different verticals and stuff. So we've done e-commerce. That's a big one we've done. For some reason, the clients that I worked with in e-commerce have a lot of them have been like outdoor type stores or emergency preparedness clients, which has been fun. Worked with some everyday carry, sort of like I call it a men's brand. Anyone could buy it, but it was kind of geared towards men and like carrying pens and knives and wallets and things like that. So those are some fun clients that I worked with. So we've done e-commerce, lead generation for B2B clients. So we worked with a big packaging manufacturer, and tried to get them leads for big companies that needed packaging. So like companies like Coca-Cola or Banana Boat or whatever, they look for vendors that can sell them plastic packaging, and so we help them find leads for that. We've worked with home services, so like plumbers and electricians, carpet cleaners, things like that.
Very cool.
We work with a lot of healthcare professionals, so we work with med spas and dental offices, plastic surgeons, things like that. So
very cool.
Worked in a lot of those. We've done what's some other random ones? We've done medical devices. We've done some medical device stuff, like medical lasers and things, and then also some other B2B, like B2B technology companies. We've done some real estate stuff like that too. So,
very cool.
Yeah, kind of all over the place. It's been fun.
A lot of experience there, which is good. So share with us one of your biggest success stories, one of the things that you're like, wow, that went awesome.
Yeah. It's probably one of our clients that we have right now. I can't disclose their name because we're their white label partner, and so
Yeah.
we act as their marketing team.
Yeah.
And they've been awesome to work with. They're based here in Utah, and we were able to take basically their entire paid media program and expand it and become their paid media team. So we came on board and sort of we're going to help, I guess, consult with their paid media team. Then they had some changes in their organization, and then they asked us to just take over, so we did.
Yeah.
And we managed quite a few accounts for them, and we were able to increase their client sales across the board by about $12 or $13 million
Wow.
year over year, which I think was about a 40% increase
Yeah.
year over year for them. And we've continued to work with them and have had great success, and they keep bringing on new clients and stuff.
That's
so
awesome.
That's been super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like in our organization, we have a local dealership here that we just got numbers on yesterday, and obviously it's performing really well for them. And what's interesting is that they were like, well, we'll try it out with you guys. They're already doing other stuff in the same places, but we have a relationship with them from the magazine, and we've come in and they're like, wow, your number 1 and number 2 ads are the stuff you're doing. And as I've talked about this with other clients, I'm like, that comes down to understanding the technology and the keyword research that we're doing on the front end.
Yep.
That's how you get the results on the back end. So maybe tell our listeners a little bit about that process if they're trying to get things, because I'm sure you've seen when ads don't work.
Yes.
And then when they do work.
Yeah.
So maybe what's the differentiation?
They don't always work, which is sometimes frustrating.
A little maddening.
Yeah. And it's like sometimes you can't quite figure out exactly why they didn't work. But I guess the process is to make sure you do enough research on the front end, and then use that research to help you make decisions down the road that helps you kind of dial in what is exactly working and what things you need to change. So I think, John Watson's a great example where we were running Facebook ads for them, and we're able to work with their marketing team and talk to them a little bit about like their target demographics and people who are commonly coming into their stores. And so we were able to build out a really good audience based on that within Facebook, and then we use some other technology that Facebook has to build audiences that look similar to that. So people who are likely to click on the ads and give information to John Watson and stuff. We were able to build those out based on what the information that we had. And then after we launched the ads, we were able to look at things and say, okay, well, we're seeing this part of the demographic, this age group responds better to our ads. So we'll focus our targeting on those age groups and we'll exclude others. And then that way we can really say, okay, well, if we're going to make the most money targeting people XYZ, we should target those people and just exclude everyone else.
Right.
So that's kind of how we did that for them.
And I think, every business is different, right? We've got companies the size of that. We've got even a few bigger companies than that. But we also have some very small, local companies. They might not have that kind of audience data. So how do you
so
make
usually
up for
with
that?
smaller clients, we recommend doing paid search. That's usually the best place to start because even in a local area, if there's small search volume, you're still able to target people who are interested in a specific product or service based on keyword research. That's the whole idea. Again, we do the research first, and then we're able to say, okay, we have this list of 150 keywords that we're going to try and target. We have let that run for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we say, okay, we saw conversion being, I don't know how savvy all of you are, but conversion is either like a phone call or somebody requesting more information. So we say, okay, we got conversions from these 50 keywords. We'll exclude all the other keywords that we're spending money because we know that these 50 keywords are working, and then we'll focus on those, and then we can see an improved cost per conversion and lower costs for getting customers. And then at that point, we can say, okay, let's try doing some tests and adding additional keywords that we didn't try before and seeing if we can expand that list.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I always like to tell people, I'm like, okay, this is going to take about 3 to 4 days to get set up and rolling. If you're ready to go right now, so pull the trigger. Takes 3 or 4 days to get all the technical stuff set up. Sometimes a little longer depending on how rough their website is.
Yeah.
But 3 to 4 days at a minimum, and then it's the first few months that you might see an immediate result, which is great when we nail it right the first time. But there's also that adjustment and that honing in of the audience. And like you said, you've got 50 keywords that are performing really well and 100 that aren't, eliminating those, and then maybe adding in some others that you're going to try and see if there's any other optimizations we can do. So that's kind of that process, but it takes, it's not instantaneous.
No, it's not. And that's the kind of the fallacy, or the perception people have, is that ads are instant successes, which sometimes we do see that, and we usually do see some results right off the bat, either being clicks or conversions or whatnot. But usually we tell our clients or people we work with that we want to run these ads for a month first to gather data. And then the second month is when we're going to kind of hone that data and optimize things. And then by the third month, you should be really humming and getting conversions at a really good cost per conversion. So usually it takes about 3 months to get things really dialed in. And that's just, and it could be shorter than that. It just depends on how much data we can gather. If there's a ton of search volume, it can be a lot quicker than that. But for generally speaking, we say about 3 months to get everything dialed in.
Cool. And then you have ongoing fees to continue to advertise. What are you doing after those 3 to 4 months?
Yeah, so the first 3 months is the big heavy lifts. Then after that, what we do is, that's where a lot of the, I guess, industry knowledge comes into play.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a lot of different optimizations that we can make that are on the back end with Google to kind of train their algorithm to target people the best way possible. And that's also when we do a lot of testing. So the testing is also going to follow that same 3-month process where we will set up a test, we'll gather data, we'll hone it, and then we'll kind of see where it's at that point. So usually tests, though, if you have a lot of stuff coming in, they'll be a lot quicker than the 3 months. So we can test things pretty quickly, but yeah, after that we do the ongoing management. So we make sure that credit cards aren't failing, that everything looks good on the account. Every once in a while we'll get policy violations depending on the industry that you're in. Sometimes Google will flag your website for different phrases or terms that are on there, and we have to fight those and work through Google's labyrinth of support systems.
Yeah.
their black box of support. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that we do to hone things in apart from just the targeting. It goes into a lot more of the setups and Google's back end on things, and Facebook and whoever else we work with.
And really make your money in the long run. The first few months, it's you're spending more than you are making in revenue to get everything right, and all the software you use and all the tools that you do, and of course your knowledge. So, but I think the other piece of that is there's also trends and changes that happen in a marketplace, and even words that people are using. Some TikTok trend can happen, and it'll change what people call things.
Yep.
And so you always have to look at that and say, okay, they're no longer calling it a widget, they're calling it a wadget, whatever it is, and then you go change to that.
Yeah, and the only constant in digital marketing is change, right? And so it's like with Google or Facebook, like we've been on the phone a few times, we're like, okay, I'm going to log in and do this thing for you on Facebook. I'm like, oh, they moved the thing that I need, or they put it under some other menu. So there's that, and then there's just new policies and stuff. Like a couple of years ago with the iOS 14 updates on Apple phones, that really affected a lot of e-commerce stores or Facebook marketing because we limited our tracking. So it's hard to get information back from websites on the results that we were getting.
Right.
So we just had to learn how to build out around that and get the data that we needed.
And now so talk to me a little bit about Google's announcement that they're going to start eliminating cookies starting early next year.
Yeah.
And through the end of the year, they plan to have 0 user cookies on Chrome. My guess is the others will follow suit. But what are your thoughts there, and what's going to change?
Yeah, I think it's good that we're pushing for privacy online and protecting people's identities and whatnot. It does make it super hard from a marketing standpoint if you don't have a lot of personal data on people. But I think it's a good move overall for the internet ecosystem. I think what we're going to see a lot of, though, is Google already has pushed analytics off of Universal Analytics to GA4, and I think we're going to see a lot more robust tracking through GA4 that will be cookieless, that will kind of tie back into Google Ads, and there's going to be they'll have a lot of information kind of hidden, but still help you be able to make decisions on the back end. There's probably going to be a lot more AI tools that will come out that will help us with tracking and
it's kind of a walled garden.
Yep.
Like they want you to stay in their stuff and they want to keep the data themselves, and then they'll only share what they want to with us. So, but
exactly.
You got to play that game.
Yep.
So on another level, talk about buyer intent data, because that's kind of been a trending topic for several years, but it's one that I think the local market has largely either ignored or just not really fully understood, where a lot of the bigger brands are using that, paying attention to intent, meaning, for those that aren't familiar, that just means when you start looking at cars and you start visiting car websites, that information is available to data aggregators, and they take that and they're like, okay, this person's probably looking for a car. Mm-hmm. So then they'll start showing more car ads to you. So if you've ever looked for a car, you've started seeing car ads everywhere, and then this privacy movement that's happening, my question is that going to go away, like understanding intent? Mm-hmm. Because if someone's starting to look at med spas, for example, you can use that data and utilize it to be more effective and just show the ads to people who are already looking. I just wonder how much of it will affect that. Like, will we not know now and just... Because some people are predicting the resurgence of traditional legacy media like magazines because they're like, you're not going to have any data. I don't know if that's true.
I think the money's in the data, right? So Google and Facebook, TikTok, they're going to be able to get you the data somehow. So I think my prediction is we'll be able to still do retargeting. We'll be able to target like audiences, but it's going to be a lot more controlled, and we won't have as much say into who we target and who gets to see the ads.
So it'll be the platforms themselves that'll...
I think so, yeah, and they'll use their algorithms and AI to control who sees the ads. There's already a ton of regulation, especially in like the medical space, with dentists or plastic surgeons or doctors' offices. If somebody is already a client to those, it's really hard to retarget those people, because that would mean we'd have to get the information back from the provider that this person has purchased this service from a doctor, and there's already like HIPAA regulations and things. So that's already very regulated in some industries. So things we can do though is like general retargeting. So if somebody has visited a website and we know that they're not a customer, or they've been to like a specific page on information, we can retarget that and say, hey, we've got this special going on for teeth cleaning or whatever. We saw you read our blog article on teeth cleaning or whatever. So I'm just making stuff up. But
that's cool.
Yeah, so it is is already kind of regulated in some industries, but I think we'll see just the big players kind of control that data and still allow us to do it, but they'll control it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what
but I could be
changes
totally
there.
wrong. It could be.
Yeah, who knows? Well, the one thing, my most recent 2 blog posts are called low-hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. And I talked about SEO, and there's still a lot of power in SEO.
Yeah.
It's a slower process. It doesn't happen instantly, where the shortcut is really search ads. Mm-hmm. And, Google is still the king of search. And so putting up Google Ads can really be a way to capture if there's existing traffic.
That's right.
And so you can look up and see what traffic volumes are and search volumes are for particular keywords and terms. And so we can know. We can say, okay, this many people are already looking for this. And if we show your ads, you can spend this much. You can spend this much to get in front of everybody who does the search right now, and at least have a chance for them to click on your ad. And then, of course, your website and then your phone skills and your follow-up skills are key in closing that business. But really, you can know exactly what you need to do to show up all the time and capture at least some of that business.
Yeah.
So talk some about the industry standards of like conversion rates. And so if there's 100 people searching for something in a community, how many of those are going to click? How many of those are going to convert? and what are the factors on their website that, and then what do you do to make it better? Because we talk about this all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes we look on somebody's website and we're like,
We should
that's not going to work.
We should just not run ads for a while.
Yeah, we should fix the website first. I put that in my thing. I was like, if your website's terrible, let's fix that first. Don't
Exactly.
don't start running ads until it's ready.
Yeah, so that's I guess I'll start from. Let's just start from I guess what we can do to help, or I guess baseline. So what we look for kind of across the board is if we can hit a 2.5% click-through rate. So if 100 people click or see your ad or search for your service and they see your ad, then we'll get about a 2.5 of them will click on the ad.
Right.
And then if we can get a 2.5% conversion rate on the website to start with, that's really good. So kind of across the board for all industries, that's the average that we see online. Some industries are higher than that, and some are lower. For e-commerce, if you can hit a 2% conversion rate, you're in like golden territory usually. And there's obviously products and stuff that are going to have a higher conversion rate or lower conversion rate just based on price and what the product is and stuff. So that's something to consider as well. But yeah, for the most part, we shoot for 2.5% as the base for both of those metrics, click-through rate and conversion rate. And then, we look at the website for a few different things right off the bat. First is going to be ease of, I guess, how quickly the page loads. That's the first thing that's going to make a huge impact. So if someone clicks on my ad and it takes my website 8 seconds to load, that's an eternity online, right. And people are just going to bounce back to the search engine, go to the next ad or the next listing, and go to that page. Right. So if we can get the load times down, that helps us get more people on the site, and then they engage with your content or whatever's on that page, and then that's your first step to improving your conversion rate because more people will stay on your site. Then we look for ease of contact. So if somebody can click a phone number on your website, we always want to have a mobile-friendly phone number on the website and a mobile-friendly site itself.
Yeah.
So when you land on the site, you can just click on the number, it pulls up your dialer, you can make a phone call, it's super easy. Yeah. And then the next thing we look for is, as far as contact, is the form fill if it's above the fold. So in traditional marketing, on a newspaper, above the fold is anything on the top half of the first page, right? Because of the fold.
Right.
So same thing in digital marketing, we want to have all the important stuff right at the top. So any kind of form fills or requests for information, we want that above the cutoff on the screen, so it's easy to get to and they can just access it super quickly. So
what
usually
about on a phone?
On a phone, we also want it kind of at the top there. Okay. So as high up on the page as you can get it. And let's see, I lost my train of thought there. So those are like the three big things that we work on. After that, we usually can do landing page tests. So we, with a client of ours recently, they had about 6 or 8 fields in their form, and we had I think their conversion rate was like just under 1%. It was like 0.9%. It was for a business service, so they're like, well, that's pretty good. And we're like, well, we can improve that. So we changed their form to a multi-step form. So the first thing you entered in was just your email address, and you click next, and then it asked you for your name, phone number, business name, and then some other information. But that first step where they've committed a little bit of information already really helped us gather the rest of the information and kind of show their intent that they're serious about inquiring about that service. And just making that change alone, we were able to increase their landing page conversion rate by like 200%. So I think it went up. The highest we got it during that period was like 3-point-something%.
Great.
So
yeah.
3.2, I think. If you guys are interested,
yeah,
in that
that's
random
okay.
number, but better than 3-point-something. But yeah, so we just with small changes like that, we can test, and so we used a landing page builder to run both of those experiences at the same time, and we were able to say, oh yeah, this multi-step works better, so we'll just shut down the other part of the test, and we only ran the multi-step form. Then we tested other things like button colors. We tested ad or text at the top of the page, putting the address for the location, things like that. We just test everything.
Yeah.
Anything that we think could help somebody get to a business, call a business, or contact a business. So, we thought that through and tested that.
I want to come back to landing pages in just a second, but do you have a stat on, because I think the old way of doing business, and we work with a lot of people who've been in business for a long, long time, and so they tend to be a little more traditional, a little more old school. They want people to call them.
Yeah.
But what percentage of people are going to call, especially on a first interaction, versus try to get the business to call them by filling out a form?
Yeah, I think it depends on the industry.
Okay.
So, and also the demographic of people that you're
Yeah.
shooting for.
The older, the more likely they are to call.
Yeah.
The younger, the less
They're like,
likely.
I don't want to call. I just want to like get contacted, have people give me the information that I need.
Yeah. Text me. Don't even call me.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as rates go, usually about 60%, 55 to 60% of traffic going to any website is going to be mobile traffic anyway. So we really try to optimize towards the mobile phones first for every business.
Yeah.
And that's, I haven't seen anybody less than 50% in a long time, but I'm sure there's some industries that might experience that.
Yeah.
But I would say the majority, well, so for example, in some of our medical clients that we work with, we get a lot more phone calls than we do form fills for specific services. Like dentists are a good example. So we set up different conversions. We have a call from the ad. It's called the call extension on Google. So if somebody will see your phone number right in the search engine results pages, and then they can just click the phone number to call right from there. They don't even go to the website, which is really cool.
That's cool.
That's a great way to get conversions. It's super easy to
get more phone calls.
and get
It's so simple.
tons of phone calls that way. And then, so we have that conversion, and then the phone number on the website. Usually, because there's, I guess, more options to call.
Yeah.
We'll get more phone calls that way. But dentists are a good example where we'll get more phone calls because they'll land on the pages, and we just have those options available. And usually it's like, oh, I'm just going to schedule this appointment because my tooth hurts or whatnot. But
some urgency in there to
yeah,
try and get,
exactly.
to get in. Well, I have another friend who owns another agency here locally, and they work a lot with mechanic shops, auto shops, and he told me some crazy stat. I can't remember what it was. Like 60% of searches don't result in a click through to a website. No clicks, or so they have some term for it.
Yeah.
Some crazy number, and he's like, they're engaging with the business through Google or through the maps.
Yep.
And map searching is massive now. My kids, if I tell them to look up something, they go right to their map, to go someplace or whatever, or to call someplace. My day it was the phone book. And then we migrated into searching Google. So a lot of people in my generation, we go to our Safari and then we type in, okay, where's coffee shops near me, whatever it is, right? Well, my kids do the map. They go to the map, pizza near me.
Yep.
They're going to find what they're looking for just because they're trained differently and thinking differently. And then there's a lot of voice search too happening. So a lot of different changes in our behaviors. Like you said, the one constant in digital marketing is change.
Yeah, someone's always going to come up with an easier way to get information, and then that's going to be the new thing. So.
And really, if you think about it, on the very simplest form, because you've got some very sophisticated clients, and then we have some that that aren't. They're not sophisticated, and they don't necessarily need to be. They run successful businesses. They're happy with what they have. It's not bad. They want to do more business, and so on that side, I would say the key is to try to make things as easy as possible. When we were first building out Connection Publishing's website, for example, I knew I want a clickable phone number, right? Just so somebody could go to the website on their phone, tap on it, and then call us. And a lot of people don't think about that. That's like one very simple way to do it. And one of the tools that I'm really encouraging and I want to find a solution for is on-site chats, because that go to the owner's phone or to a key person's phone, because people don't want to call anymore. And if they fill out a form and then there's that delay time, but like during business hours, it's great if somebody can send a question in right away. And we've tested a few on our What to Eat for Dinner site, which has been kind of interesting. And I was like, people were asking questions. I'm like, this is really helpful from a customer service standpoint.
Yeah.
we took it off of what to eat for dinner because we're like, that's a business that's still like budding. We're trying to make it make money. So I can't have time spending chatting with people on how to do this recipe, but it's good customer service.
Yeah.
And when that company makes money, we'll for sure do that. But at this point, like for Connection Publishing or Connection Media Company, like that's going to be a key piece going forward, is being able to communicate with people at their level, where they're at, being willing to text people, having someone on your team who's willing to call people when they fill out a form. Those kinds of things are crucial, and they have been for a while, but some businesses just haven't adapted, and it's time, you know.
It is. And we have conversations with clients all the time where they're like, hey, you're sending us tons of leads, but our conversion rate of those leads are down. And so we kind of dig into, are the leads that you're contacting, are they qualified? Are they, the things you're looking for? And a lot of times they are. And the problem is actually in the sales process once they get the lead. So usually, if you can contact the lead within, a couple of minutes from getting the information, that's best. But if you can do it the same day, that's the next best thing. As quickly as you can contact them, that's a great thing. If you have changes in your front office staff, that's another thing to look out for. We've had issues with that in other clients. So somebody will come in and they're kind of new to selling or presenting the product or service that you're
booking appointments or whatever it is.
Yeah, and they'll say, "Oh, our conversion rate dropped in July," and we'll say, "Okay, well, have you hired anybody new? Have you done anything different in your office?" Like, "Oh yeah, we hired Becky, and she's new here or whatever." Like, okay, well, talk to her and train her up on the sales process, and then we'll go from there and see if we can. Yeah. And we always want to continue to improve the quality of leads that are coming in from the ads, but you definitely have to look at the people's process and product that you have to make sure that it's a good fit for the marketing that you're doing.
So earlier I said I want to come back to landing pages, and I think this is another little piece that I think people overlook. The internet world is highly into landing pages.
Yes.
Local businesses, they're like, just send them to my website. And here's the thing. If somebody, we have a day spa client, right? And if somebody is interested in a facial, for example, on the simplest level, they see an ad for a facial and they click through and it just goes to the website. The problem is, I always talk about it like this. Sometimes people get frustrated because they're like, why does Google do it this way? And I'm like, Google is trying to do the best they can to deliver the best service to you and I.
Exactly.
So when we search for something and I'm like, I need a new tire, and they show me a tire shop in Colorado, I'm not going to be happy with that service. I don't live in Colorado. I live in Utah, right? So they're not going to show me a tire shop in Colorado. They're going to show me a tire shop nearby. And if I don't find what I'm looking there, it actually decreases the likelihood that they're going to show that shop to someone else.
Yep.
So if someone wants a facial and they're going to your blank website and a facial isn't the first thing that they see, your bounce rates are going to be way higher.
Yes.
So if you're running an ad on facials, you should have a landing page that specifically talks to that, has powerful imagery and powerful wording. I teach a lot on the philosophy side of advertising as well. And right now in the internet world, they say you have 3 seconds. The attention span of a goldfish is like 5 to 7 seconds. The attention span of a human, is 8 to 9 seconds. The attention span of a human is 5 to 7. So we have a lower attention span than a goldfish, which is rough for marketers, but on a landing page, it should be very specific.
Yes.
And you should have multiple landing pages for your multiple products. And so when people pop in and they're like, I'm interested in a facial, the page that pops up should be all about facials.
Yeah.
Still have access to everything else, have it be part of your website, but make it very simple. Here's how you get a facial. Do you want to book right now? Yes, I want to book right now. I know what I want. I'm ready to go. I'm interested in more information. Yep. Okay, do this for more information. Very simple. Use landing pages. That's a service that we provide, which is great. So we can make landing pages individually for ads that are running, but take the time to do that. Don't just dump people onto your homepage and say, let them find it. We do facials. They're on the menu. They're not going to find it. They're not going to look.
And within marketing, at least with digital marketing and conversion rate optimization, we like to say, you want to reduce friction for people to get to their end goal. And anytime someone has to click or go to a new page, that increases the friction for them to convert. So if you can...
lowers their likelihood of continuing.
Exactly, yeah. So if you can get somebody to the page for the product or service that they're specifically looking for and make it very easy for them to contact you about that, that's the ideal thing to do. So whenever we set up ads, we try to avoid sending anyone to the homepage unless it's like an awareness campaign. If you
Right.
just like want to say, hey, I just want people to know my business is here,
Right.
we'll send tons of traffic to the homepage. But if we want to sell a specific product or service, we want the traffic to go to a specific page on the website or a specific landing page that we build out.
And on the mental part of that, on the psychology part of that, what's happening is you have two different types of advertising. You have active search, where you're trying to capture that low-hanging fruit. Those are the people who are already know what they want, or at least kind of think they know what they want. They may be researching it still, but they're looking for specifically something.
Yep.
Like if you're like, I really like silk ties, right? And you start looking for silk ties, you want to show up. If you sell silk ties, you want to show up when that person's looking for silk ties.
Exactly.
That's active search. That's someone who's actively looking for what you've got. Now, on the other side, you have passive discovery. And that may be someone who doesn't even know silk ties are cool or doesn't know that they're important to wear. And you may do a campaign that's like, hey, we make silk ties and here's why they're great. That person can go to your main website because your main website really is a brochure on what you do and why it's valuable and cool and awesome. But if I'm really looking for red silk ties and you're like, we have a special on red silk ties, and I click on the button, it takes me and it's all blue silk ties, I'm not going to be happy, right? So when you're doing active search, it's about less friction, making things super easy for them to find exactly what they want.
Make it very, very relevant to what the keywords are and everything.
And options,
Yep.
right? Fill out a form, book an appointment, call us, whatever you want to do. We're here for you. Let's do it. Chat right now, all of that. Dealerships are doing really well with that right now. Hey, I'm online, I'm here. I see you're looking at the car. If you have any questions, let me know.
Yep.
And that is tied to a real person. It's AI at first, but right after you send in, what about this? How many, what's happening with the seatbelt? It looks whatever. They can answer that for you. And the better they are at doing that, the more interaction they're getting, and they can come get a test drive, which people buy cars when they test drive them.
Yep.
So on the other side, active or passive, that's a totally different ball game. But that's why both you and I say this all the time. Start with search.
Yes.
Unless there's not enough volume, and then we go to passive discovery.
Yep.
And so, for example, our safe guy, we're going to work on passive discovery because there's not enough people actively saying, I need a gun safe, but there's plenty of people with guns, and there's plenty of people looking for them or have it in the back of their mind somewhere, and now we can generate that interest over here and deliver on that side as well.
Exactly.
So, and like Roof Max, I'll use that as another example. That's an example where you have something that's unique that doesn't fit the market super well because they don't know, unless they are experiencing Roof Max already and they've heard about it, they're not going to search for a roof spray that makes their shingles last longer. They don't think that way. They're going to look for roofing companies. Well, a lot of times for us, they end up being too far gone down the process. We can't save their roof because they probably got a leak. And they're like, I need a roofing company, I got a leak, right? It's just like that 2 steps beyond where we need to find them. So we focus way more on passive discovery than we do on active search.
And that makes sense because people are going to say, oh, my roof has been looking kind of shoddy recently or whatnot.
Right.
So, but then they see your ad, like, oh, hey, that's going to fix my problem that I have.
Might work. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like how my roof looks, but I don't want to replace it because it was like 8 years ago or something.
Yep.
So
exactly.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So there are options, and we always, both of us, always want to try to do what is actually best for that client, which is good.
Yep.
So.
And as far as like going back to maps and chats and all that for small local businesses, I think that's one of the reasons why we do push hard for search ads, especially for like home services and stuff, because people are looking for those things specifically. Yeah. And it's a great way, like you said, this is the low-hanging fruit, like people who are already interested in your product or service and they just don't know where to get it. And then you're like, hey, right here.
Right here.
So
that's that active search. That's awesome. And then the cool thing with active search too is that once they have kind of started looking at things, like if you click on a Honda Pilot ad, you're going to see Honda Pilots everywhere you go. If you click on a Chevy Silverado, you are going to see Chevy Silverados everywhere you go. I have 2 daughters that have recently purchased CRVs, Honda CRVs. They got the same car, basically, a different color. And because I've been helping them, I see Honda CRVs everywhere. I'm like, not just in the world, because that's part of what happens in our brains, but just online. I'm not looking for a Honda CRV. My daughters were, and they've got them, but it's just kind of funny how it happens. But that retargeting is also extremely valuable. So that's another
very
really
valuable.
good tool. So, Well, let's switch gears for a second.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about, you're building a business. You're building this wholesale agency. In our industry, they call it white labeling.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you take a back seat. You have a company, but it's not the front-facing, the customer-facing company. It's, you're our provider. You're our contractor that does the work when we go out and make a sale, and. But you're still building a business, right? You have contractors, you have employees, you have people that work for you. Talk to me a little bit about leadership, organization. How do you operate? How have you been seeking to grow? And because it's challenging no matter what industry
Yeah,
you're
it
in.
is. It's true. So right now I'm kind of in the phase where whatever I'm trying to do, that's where I build my team out.
Yeah.
So recently we've been doing a lot of outreach and trying to get new clients. So I've been building out kind of a sales team and a business development team. But my philosophy is to give everybody as much responsibility as possible, not just because I don't want to do anything, but because I think people have amazing capabilities and stuff. So my team, we work basically together but separately. So we have specific managers over specific accounts, and then we kind of collectively collaborate on things and bounce ideas off of each other, and everybody's kind of a partner that way in the business. We've got 5 people on our team right now, and we've just been trying to grow it. So I've been really trying to just empower people and let them know, like, I'm here to support you. I like a lot of what Gary Vee has to say about leadership, where, if an employee is struggling, you shouldn't point the finger at them and say, what are you, like, why aren't you working harder? It's that you should look at yourself and say, how can I help you? What can I understand better about your situation to help uplift you at work and to help you do a better job? Maybe they have problems with family at home, or they've got a sick kid, or, their dog ran away and they're upset or whatnot. There's a lot of different things that are going on.
A lot of pressures in life.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if I can take pressure off of you for a day or two to help you get things in order, when you come back, you're going to be much happier and things are going to work better. I'm happy to do that. So that's sort of how I operate.
That's awesome. That's key, because I know people talk sometimes like people just aren't motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't find that.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't find it, because I find when people are doing something they like and they have the right tools and they understand the responsibilities that they hold, they want to do a good job. The only time I think people stop wanting to do a good job is when two things. One is when they're in a dead-end job, that they're just like, there's no future for me, I hate this, and they're unhappy. And part of that is their fault. I say, well, go learn something and try to do something else if this is where you don't want to be.
Yeah.
For our employees, like, I've always, I tend to hire very entrepreneurial-minded people, because I'm so entrepreneurial-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm always thinking in a business term. And I tell them all the time, I'm here for you. If you have ideas and you're trying to pursue them and you want to pursue something as a second income, whatever, I will help you in any way that I can. I will help you for free. Like, I'm here as a resource for you. Not that I know everything, but I just, obviously, I'm in business. And so they're like, I've never had a boss like that. They always don't want me to do other things on the side. And I'm like, well, I do things on the side. So I feel like that's just how it should be. Yeah. But I think in that process, like, they become better at their job, because I'm like, okay, you want to market that. How are you going to do this? Who's your who? Define your who. Who's your why? Or what's their why? Why would they do business with you?
Yeah.
Let's do market research. What are the key words for this that are happening? What's the search volume? So by doing that, they're like kind of surprised. And I actually learned that from my brother-in-law. He was like, I help, if somebody wants to become a dentist or an orthodontist like me, I'm gonna help them. I'm gonna show them where to go to school. I'm going to give them the tools that they want so they can improve their life if they want to. And I think it empowers people, and it makes them think, I can do this, and I can perform at a high level.
Yeah.
And I do lose employees here and there. We just lost one that she was our social media manager. She was our content manager. She uploads we have a ton of content with Connection Publishing, so she would upload it all to our websites. Mm-hmm. And on the side, she's been a wedding photographer, and she called me and she's like, this is my favorite job I've ever had. But she's like, I have to quit because I'm so busy with the wedding photography business, that she's like, I cannot do both. And I want to do a good job for you if I'm going to be here. And she's like, I don't have the time. And so I'm excited for her. Like, that's awesome. And we can have someone else do the work,
Yeah.
and there's other people who need it at the time. And so for me, I think empowering. I think what you're doing is great because giving people responsibility, giving them tools, that's one that's hard sometimes, I've been building out our website recently, and one of the things I've been doing is thinking about what do my salespeople need to know to sell this product.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to connectionpub.com and you read through it, it's got all these details, and it's so my salespeople can go to the website and say, this is a new product. I don't know about it yet.
Yeah,
What
I
does
can
it
read
got?
about it.
I can read about it or watch the video about
Yeah.
it. And that's kind of the way I've been thinking, is because I want them to have the information to be able to share with the client and give them information. But
Yeah, I think that's super cool, and I think what a lot of maybe the traditional way of thinking about business is that you don't want your employees doing other things, but I think everyone's success contributes to the success of everyone else around you. So the social media manager is an example. She went and did her wedding photography business, but that opened up another job for somebody else to come in who wants to learn, maybe who's like, oh, I just never done this before, but it's something I want to learn how to do. And kind of because she was able to move up and on, somebody else can move up into her position as well. So I think
hopefully they learn skills in the role they're in, that she can now manage her own social media and do different things because she's had that experience, and that's awesome. So helps her be more successful.
I think it also helps build trust too between you and your employees, because if you're like, hey, if you're doing something on the side, tell me about it. I want to help you out.
Right.
Then they're not like secretively
hiding
doing stuff, and they're like, oh, if Ryan finds out, he's going to fire me, and then they have like this grudge and they don't need to have it.
It's so true. And often, partly because I geek out over marketing stuff, but I just want them to call me and be like, I'm thinking of my brand. I'm trying to figure out my logo. I love that stuff, so I get excited about it. And instead of being like, wait, you're doing stuff on the side. But I mean, I only have 4 businesses, so that's just kind of something I like. But
that's awesome.
But yeah,
maybe I'll have 4 someday. That's the goal.
I'm not sure that's a good goal to go for, but I've got. It's hard to be, they say have one focus, and I'm like, I got one focus on 4 things. but something always falls, if you're not paying attention. But sometimes I just have more ideas than there are hours in the day.
That's so true. And with new businesses too, they take so much time. That's the thing with my agency is it's fairly new still, so I'm spending a ton of time on it. So I'm not doing anything else.
Systemizing and prioritizing and how to, handle the challenges that come and making sure you're doing a good job serving people well. Mm-hmm. And always the question to ask isn't how much money can we make from this? It's how does this serve people?
Yeah.
And there's things that we've started and then I later back off on them because I'm like, okay, it doesn't make sense. We can't either do a good job of it or we can't make money doing it. So you do have to make money, but it needs to be, it needs to fit.
You have to have it. Yeah, you have to be doing a good job at it. I think that's something that digital marketing has taught me. Especially for organic marketing on YouTube or Facebook or whatnot. It's like if you're not providing value to people, then they're not going to give you the currency of those platforms, which is views and likes and things like that. Yeah. So you really have to be doing a good job of what you're doing. So with digital marketing, you want to provide good content and relevant content and stuff so you can uplift the people who are coming into your site and stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So we're going to wrap up here, but at the end, tell me about something you're excited about both on your personal life, but then also on the business side. Is there some new technology or something that's got you excited or thinking big?
Let's see.
So both personal and professionally.
That's a good question. Personally, so I've been training triathlons. We talked about at the beginning. I've got the East Canyon Triathlon coming up. I'm just doing the sprint. I'm not like an Ironman or anything. So don't hold me to that.
I don't know. You look pretty iron to me. So
thanks. But yeah, I have that coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's the middle of August. I've been training. I got sick back in June. There was that sickness going around and put me out for 3 weeks. And then I finally got back to training and I was super lethargic and then started feeling good a week ago. And my training's been going great. So I'm really excited to do the triathlon. So that's kind of fun. And then professionally, what am I excited for? Man, there's a lot of things going on. I think I'm the most excited for right now is just how I'm interested to see how marketing is going to change with a lot of the new technology that's coming out, especially with like virtual reality and metaverse and cryptocurrencies and things like that. There's been a lot of innovation in those spaces, but it's still really early. So I think I'm really excited to see how paid media is going to integrate into those areas and how they're going to explode. Because I think everybody's on their phones now anyway. I think it's just a matter of time before we're all on. Google Glass didn't really come to fruition as they wanted it to, but I think eventually we're going to be wearing augmented reality glasses and things, and so it'll be cool to see how that technology kind of affects marketing and how we interact with each other and businesses and stuff too. So.
See, I was hoping technology would get to the point where I don't need glass, because I'm getting to the age where I probably need them.
Where you just
get a little
take
blurry.
a nanobot pill and they fix your eyes.
Yeah, your eyes are better, and I don't have to wear glasses.
Cool.
That'd be sweet. But having them do things would be cool too.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm excited for, is to see what's coming. There's a lot of cool stuff right now with like ChatGPT and AI. Yeah. Those are in really early stages, and those will change how we do everything in the next few years, I think, too.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So, Warp Drive Digital.
Yep, Warp Drive Digital Marketing
is the name of the company. So if you're an agency and you're needing back office type stuff, they're great. If you're a consumer and want help, we can help you with Connection Media, and love to sit down with you and kind of make a plan and go through everything. So really appreciate you coming on, and
thanks
all
for
the
having
work
me.
you do for us. It's awesome. I'm super tickled. Most of the customers we're working with, they're like, "You're our number one source of leads now," and I'm like,
"Sweet." That's
what comes from hiring the right tech guys, So you got to get the right guys in your team, and we're grateful to have you.
Awesome.
So.
I appreciate it, and I love working with you guys and all the clients that we have. They're all top notch and great people. So.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you moved to North Ogden, saw the magazine, and called me, and you're like, "Hey, we should talk." And I was like, "All right," But you were at the end of everybody calling me, and I was like, "I know you want to do digital, but this has been a good partnership. I've really enjoyed it."
Yeah, appreciate it. Awesome. I've loved it as well.
Cool. Okay, well, that's all, folks.
Okay. Thank you.